It is a great pleasure to be here today to talk to you about what I think is an important innovation in electricity markets, which also will have application to other time and location markets, such as communications and transportation. But I'm going to focus on electricity today. And this is joint work with many people. We've got a large team working on this. And it's also very much in progress. So you can see these yellow links here with the latest frequently asked questions document. There'll be a new version at the end of today. So I encourage you to always look back at the website to see the latest version. There's today's presentation. The slides are available. There's also an interactive demo, which is kind of nice. And there will be more materials. We're developing market tools. We're developing a prototype platform. All of that will be available in first quarter 2024. So because of the energy transition, there's a heightened need for innovation and flexibility in electricity markets. Efficient price signals will be increasingly important in supporting that innovation and flexibility that we need. I'm going to present from the perspective of what I consider the state-of-the-art electricity markets in the United States. I know there's discussions in Europe about moving more towards the US market model with a day-ahead and real-time market. But I recognize that many markets of the world do not have that. And in fact, this innovation that we're talking about today is going to be very relevant for those markets, probably even more relevant for those markets, because it's even more important for prices to play an important role if you're not doing some important things like addressing the non-convexities and as we get close to real time, or you have imperfect locational pricing. So and what this forward energy market is going to do is make extensive use of the real-time market. So the real-time market, where electricity becomes physical, is absolutely important in this market to promote the proper incentives for performance behavior in real time, and as well as investment incentives. So it's important to recognize that the real-time market is the cornerstone, and that all markets should work in the United States and everywhere in the world should work on improving the efficiency of the real-time market. The forward energy market is just going to leverage all those improvements for investment and improved operation. So as you know, in the United States, the network and resources are fully modeled, and we co-optimize energy and reserves to maximize as-bid social welfare subject to network and resource constraints. We have a high shortage price, typically $5,000 per megawatt hour, that's intended to provide the incentive for performance when the system is very tight or in shortage. We have nodal pricing to reflect the scarcity at each time and location. And I'd like to emphasize that my view is that ignoring congestion in the pricing of the energy resource, as Germany does and many other countries in Europe, is very expensive, provides terrible incentives, and should be moved away from as quickly as possible. In the US, we have a day-ahead market where we first start modeling all network and resource constraints with non-convex optimization and a large mixed integer programming problem. The results are the bidders submit their offers and bids. describing the capabilities of their resources and their needs, and the system operator co-optimizes energy and reserves, which is performing a unit commitment of the resources. That's the main non-convexity, is the 0, 1, whether a resource is online or offline by hour throughout the day. This co-optimization of energy and reserves is then repeated throughout the day. Things change. The wind may blow less. There might be outages. All sorts of things can change. And the system operator is constantly reoptimizing to reflect those changes. The preferred approach, which has not yet been adopted in any market, is actually to treat the prices and quantities in these reoptimizations seriously with a rolling settlement. So in the US markets, the day-ahead market is financially binding. It is a financial market. It understands the physical resources, but the market's not physical yet. And then there's this reoptimization, which is solving the exact same problem with now the current state of the system. And so the rolling settlement idea is simply to take both the quantities and the prices seriously and make them binding, make the prices binding financially throughout the day. So that's one innovation. You'll see how that works very well with the forward energy market that I'm going to describe. And there is nodal pricing, again, to reflect the locational and time scarcity. The forward energy market is the final piece in this triage. The forward energy market is in what I'm going to propose today. I'll be specific, but these are parameters that can be adjusted based upon the particular market needs. But in the electricity application, I think that having the forward market start about 48 months ahead is a good starting point. It does no harm and probably does some good if it's extended even further forward, and there's going to be no complications if that's done. But in this proposal, the mandatory obligations of the market are going to be initiated 48 months. So everything beyond 48 months, if it's included, is purely voluntary. The market, like the day-ahead market, is, well, actually, unlike the day-ahead market, network and resources are not modeled. It's a purely financial market. So bids and offers are accepted, and I'll describe the bid expression momentarily. The product is delivered energy in some future hour, which is measured in megawatt hours. And in the United States, the delivery is to a load zone. So we aggregate many nodes into a load zone currently in the United States. In the future, we'll need to move towards more granularity of location and less aggregation, either at finer zones or go to nodal on the demand side as well as on the supply side. In Germany, as you know, you have complete aggregation over the entire, all of Germany, both supply and demand. The delivery point, as I said, is an aggregation. And the purpose of this market is to let the market participants manage risk, to the prices promote efficient operation and encourage efficient investment. So this market will serve the role of resource adequacy, which many markets in the United States use capacity markets, and in Europe, capacity markets for this purpose. Also popular in Europe is capacity remuneration mechanisms. And those could be eliminated with the adoption of the forward energy market. I have a picture of the Cybertruck, Tesla's new vehicle, here because this is an excellent illustration of a great source of flexibility for the market. The Tesla Cybertruck has over 12 Tesla Powerwalls within it. And in fact, this is not so radical. My Model S, which is a 2020, has more than 7 Tesla Powerwalls in its battery. So this is an enormous amount of flexibility that can be offered by the system. It is essentially free. That is, we're moving to electric vehicles. The world will be pretty much 100% electric vehicles at the end of the energy transition. And so we're going to have all this battery capacity. It's important that the batteries can have an incentive to bring that flexibility to the market. And under this proposal, the forward prices provide exactly that, as we'll see. So once if you're a battery resource and you know or have a pretty good idea of what the prices are looking ahead, it's a trivial linear program to optimize your discharge and charge in order to create as much value for your battery resource as possible. And of course, the more value that's created, the more the EV owner gets to enjoy that value, and that creates a greater demand for electric vehicles because of the value created. So it's really a win-win-win, as I'll describe in a moment. So all of this starts with vibrant forward trade. That's going to be the key to producing robust forward prices that are incredibly valuable for the regulators, the system operators, and all of the market participants. They allow efficient operation and investment. They foster innovation, such as the entry of electric vehicles and getting the most out of those electric vehicle batteries, and they will encourage resiliency, as I will describe. So in some markets, the forward energy market can be made fully effective with simply its introduction. That is, the spot market is already working quite well. It could be improved by the introduction of rolling settlements. That would be great. In other markets, such as Germany, and I don't mean to pick on Germany too much, but we do have many Germans on the phone, so I thought I should. The multiple steps are required. So the current state in Germany is there's no smart meters. There's a single German price. So demand side innovation is clearly impossible. So the first step is to install the smart meters. You still have this issue that if you just have a single German price, the smart meters can be used to reflect local scarcity. I'm sorry, system-wide scarcity, but not local scarcity. So the next thing you need to do is introduce nodal pricing, and then you can do both. And I said the next thing you should do. You don't have to have nodal pricing to have the forward market make sense. It just works better because you get a lot more innovation if you have the right locational price signals as well. So you introduce nodal pricing, but still, if you're in an environment where the electricity service is being provided by a monopoly utility, the utility has no incentive to add dynamic rates. And that's exactly what we saw in California. Right after the electricity crisis in 2000, 2001, California implemented smart markets through everywhere. They're installed in every home and business. Those markets were not, I'm sorry, those meters were not used for anything except to measure the monthly production. I'm sorry, withdrawals from the system. That might seem strange, but it's because the monopoly utilities were in charge of the operation, and they really had no incentive to use dynamic rates. In fact, you could ask the customers, do you want dynamic rates? And the customers would say, no, we like the flat rate. And because the customer doesn't know, just like we didn't know that we wanted our mobile phones to have cameras when mobile phones first came out. But now everybody says, you can't, how could you possibly have a mobile phone that didn't have a camera? It's absolutely essential. So you can't just ask consumers that have never seen something and expect them to say, oh yeah, I love that. I love change. Mess with me. I love it. That's just it's not going to work. But if you adopt retail choice, as we have in many markets in the United States, and I believe that Germany is actually going this route, but they need to solve those earlier problems, then you will have innovative service providers that can offer dynamic rates. They're motivated to dynamic rates to create value for their customers, such as their electric vehicle owners. And that is going to reduce the effective cost of electric vehicles, stimulating the purchase of electric vehicles, which further enhances and accelerates the energy transition. So it really is a positive virtual cycle that I'm talking about. So the transparent forward prices, these are going to be updated hourly in the design that I described. So a lot of long-term forward products, like the capacity market products, has historically been done 3 years in advance, and they extend for one year or multiple years. These big event auctions they do provide some price information, but the price information is at this one moment in time, and they don't adjust in any kind of continuous way. And there's lots of market power, which I'll also mention. So the big advantage here is we're getting this vibrant price information at a very fine granularity in time and location, and that information is updated every hour on the hour. And that is very nice for promoting efficient investments. Effectively, what the forward energy market is doing is completing the market. We know from work in the 70s that incomplete markets have inefficiencies. And here we're completing the market by enabling the market participants to better manage uncertainties and improve their price predictions, both of which lead to better investment. They also foster innovation, as I've mentioned. All that demand side innovation doesn't come unless you have good price information for the market participants to make use of. And finally, all this encourages resiliency. And I'm going to emphasize resiliency here rather than reliability, because resiliency is so important moving forward, and is actually, it's resiliency events that have caused the most severe problems in electricity failures from the past. And we should, as we look to the future, that's going to be even more true. So resiliency is very important. And here we're getting improved resiliency because of people being able to better respond to scarcity. And so especially the demand side innovation is going to be extremely powerful, as I'll describe. So reliability versus resiliency. Reliability is about sort of routine scarcity events caused by independent outages of resources and transmission lines during very hot days or very cold days. So our probability models work really well for modeling resiliency. I'm sorry, reliability. Resiliency, on the other hand, is systemic events. So we want our system to be robust to a wide range of systemic events that can affect both the supply and demand of energy, such as an extreme cold, and we want to make those events as short as possible and get out of them as quickly as possible. When I look at the major electricity crisis in North America and Europe since 2000, I put these four on the list. You might have some others in Europe that I'm not so familiar with, but the four are the California 2000-2001 electricity crisis. Northeast 2003 was a huge blackout in the Northeast, many tens of millions of folks without power in the Northeast for multiple days. California was caused by a very dry year, which led to too little hydro production, which made the market very tight. And then there were other market flaws that led to the exercise of market power. The utilities were unhedged, and so they went belly up very quickly. And the government had to step in and prevent them from bankruptcy. In the Northeast, it was poor tree trimming and a software bug, so just human error, routine stuff, which actually the forward energy market's not going to address. So you have to root out this kind of human error. That's a separate task for the system operators and the regulators. And all the market participants. This was caused by First Energy's failure, which is a large monopoly utility in Ohio that caused this event. In Texas, February 2021, we had the winter storm Uri, which pushed Texas into a large shortage of electricity as demand spiked because of the huge demand for electric heat, and supply fell because of a very significant reduction in gas availability. Europe, most recently, you've got what happened in 2022 with the Russian invasion, high sustained gas prices. In some countries, you had poorly hedged service providers, such as in Britain, where more than half the service providers went belly up. So that and that causes the government has to step in and causes huge costs. So 3 of these 4 are resiliency events. And so the forward energy market would do very well at mitigating 3 of the 4. One was just human error, so that's a separate matter. Importantly, none of these are events caused by a lack of resources. Resource adequacy was not the problem in any of these events. And so our focus on resource adequacy, to me, is yes, we have to have adequate resources, but we need more than that. We need resiliency to systemic events. And this is the 4 stages of resiliency: during, after, then learning, and before all the planning. So what I'm talking about today is the planning beforehand and during, and but better price information will also help with a quicker recovery. So this is the winter storm Uri. We're now almost 3 years since the event. And in a recent Berkeley lab report that did a study of looking into resiliency and resource adequacy, they found that there was no systematic treatment of the cost of extreme weather and other hazards, the benefits of resilience and resiliency metrics in planning analyses today, or as of June 2023. And that is problematic. In terms of engaging the demand side, some folks say, well, that's just, consumers aren't interested in responding to price. And that's just false. So this is from household level data that we used in Britain, and measuring these are folks that are on dynamic rates, and we measure an elasticity of 0.26. So there is substantial price response for guys when they have a dynamic rate. That dynamic rate tracked the day-ahead price at the half-hour level in Britain. Now, when we looked at the subset of customers that have low-carbon technology, such as electric vehicles, the price response was 3 times as great. So there is enormous potential for price response. We've measured this at the household level. It is there. There is self-selection bias in these calculations. But the self-selection is what is the natural self-selection. That is, these people probably are more price responsive because they've chosen dynamic rates, but that's exactly what retail choice is going to do. It's going to ask to select the customers that are more responsive to buy the electric vehicles and have the dynamic rates. Just to, here's quite a large extrapolation of that 0.26% to make it meaningful. If 44%, a minority of Texans, were as price responsive as the Britons, the enormous, nearly 30 gigawatt gap in a 66 gigawatt winter peak system like Texas, that entire gap would be closed. So demand response can be incredibly powerful. Let me stop for a second to see if there's any pressing questions. Okay, I'll continue. That's good, because I still have plenty to cover. In this proposal, I'm recommending that the system operator conduct the market, the forward energy market. Now, system operators conduct, in the United States, conduct the day-ahead market and real-time market. They also conduct other related markets, such as the firm transmission right market, the FTR market. Why should the system operator step in and conduct this forward market? Well, system operators today already conduct, the day-ahead market is a forward market. And the FTR market is a forward market. That is, it's financial related to what happens in the physical market in real time. Well, the reason is that the system operator can conduct this market at almost no cost, that is, no frictions, and they are perfectly capable of doing it and doing it quite well. So when I look at Texas, the market run by ERCOT, the mission is very simple. We serve the public by ensuring a reliable grid, efficient electricity markets, open access, and retail choice. That's a wonderful mission. I very much enjoyed serving that mission when I was on the board of ERCOT for 5.5 years. The way I translated that mission into economist language is basically that we recognize this is a complicated problem. There's potential market failures. We address the market failures. We get through effective preference expression, the preferences of the market participants, and we take those and conduct our markets to maximize as bid social welfare. So in particular, we transparently and efficiently price energy and ancillary services to maximize social welfare subject to the network and resource constraints. So that's my interpretation of what this mission is. And the forward energy market is 100% consistent with that. In fact, that's exactly what they're going to do. They are going to effectively take bids and offers from the market participants and then maximize social welfare to determine the prices and quantities that clear the market. Okay, so that's why they should be doing it. As I said, they can do it without any, the effort involved is trivial. In fact, it would make reduce their costs, because today they spend an enormous amount of time dealing with the stakeholder process associated with capacity markets. And that effort could instead be put in trying to make their markets more efficient. As you'll see, it's quite easy to conduct this market. Also, I should mention there's some mandatory elements to the market, and it's much easier to introduce mandatory elements to a market conducted by the system operator because they have an existing stakeholder process involving the regulators, the system operator, and the market participants to establish the market rules, including mandatory rules. All electricity markets have lots of mandatory rules. The rules in many of these markets are 10,000 pages long or more. You know, in this, I'm able to write down the market rules for the forward energy market in a handful of pages. The key features are the fine granularity in time and location. This gives the flexibility to trade consistent with one's needs and capabilities. So on the demand side, you've got this load that you're serving, and it varies by hour, it varies by location. The forward energy market enables you to tailor your forward purchases for exactly that load shape. Same thing for the suppliers. They've got a portfolio of generating resources that has particular characteristics, and they want to tailor the sale by time and location. This allows them to do that. We have gradual coordinated trade, and this is going to be very important in reducing risk and market power for the market participants and to identify robust clearing prices. And finally, we will have persistent portfolio flow orders, which is going to be an easy way for the participants to participate in the market, and this easy way is what I call trade to target strategies, which is a very standard trading strategy used by traders in financial markets. You have a target, and your position is not at your target, then you want to buy and sell over time in order to move closer to your target. So that's what I would recommend a market participant do in this case, and that's what they do in practice. So a few of the particulars. The forward energy market has a foundational product, which is day-ahead energy. So all the products are derivative of day-ahead energy, which is an hourly product in, I think, virtually all markets that have a day-ahead market. Some markets don't, and so they might have a 30-minute market or a 15-minute market. The first group of products is monthly forward energy. It's up to 48 months forward, but can be more. The monthly forward energy is still an hourly product. That is, an example would be 4 p.m. Houston load zone, August 2026. weekday, I should say, because it's also going to specify it's a weekday or weekend. And so basically, if you buy a megawatt of that product, then what you get financially is energy in Houston in August 2026 on every weekday in August at 4 p.m., 1 megawatt of electricity. I should say, why derivative of the day-ahead market? Why not the real-time market? Scarcity happens in real time. The extreme scarcity, shortage happens in real time. So the reason is that the day-ahead market in the US markets already hedges real-time risk between day-ahead and real-time. And so you don't want to have any duplication. So that's why it's day-ahead. But if you don't have a day-ahead market, then it would be derivative of your real-time market. So so that's what we have up till 1 month ahead. But then once we step into the current month, then we want to have finer granularity of time. And so we have hourly forward energy up to 30 days forward. So the product is 4 p.m. Houston load zone, Tuesday, August 23rd, 2026. Okay, so it's a particular hour in this August month. When we get closer to real time, you might also want to include reserves. And this would be no problem just to add hourly reserves by load zone. And that would be desirable because it would further enhance planning of reserves for the market participants, and it would reduce the exercise of market power in the reserve market. The trading technology is flow trading, and this is offers and demands are expressed in the same way as persistent piecewise linear net demand for any product portfolio. Okay, so there's a couple things here. So it's piecewise linear net demand. I mean net demand because it's either demand or supply. So negative demand is supply. So you just have one instrument that you're working with here to be easier. And two other important things. One is any product portfolio. Okay, so an order is going to specify some linear combination, any linear combination of products. And that's important because we've got thousands of products. And many of these products are near perfect substitutes. So we want the substitution to be enabled in the mechanism to be outstanding. And here it is. It's essentially perfect. And you'll see that in a moment, I hope. So that's the second component that's important. Piecewise linear, that's really nice because any continuous monotonic downward sloping net demand can be expressed. And then persistent, what that means is that your order is just, it's going to stay there and continually be optimized, to come into the optimization every hour. So if nothing changes in the world, there's no reason you need to change your order. It just sits there and it'll be doing the same thing for you that it did the last hour. So you don't need to do a lot of communication every day or every 4 nanoseconds, the way they do in financial markets. The market's cleared hourly. Because of the bid expression, the form of the bid expression, prices and quantities are unique, and the computation is trivial. This is a convex optimization problem, absolutely gorgeous. We're essentially solving a linear system, and we know how to do that with extremely powerful interior point methods, or there's other approaches as well that work quite well. So we can solve these things quite quickly. So computation is going to be no problem at all. The single key mandatory element is that the load-serving entities will have an obligation, that's the service providers to the demand side, will have an obligation to buy their some fraction of their expected demand. And that fraction is going to increase from 0% at 48 months, that is no obligation at 48 months, to 100% at 1 month ahead. Why do I have this mandatory component? Well, it's to coordinate trade. So in any dynamic trading environment, there's this issue. The sellers want to sell when the buyers want to buy, and vice versa. So there's lots of potential equilibria. And this mandatory element is going to be very helpful in nailing things down and essentially having a steady volume of trade throughout the 48 months. As I said, the market's conducted by the system operator. The prices are transparent. Other elements can be transparent as well. And importantly, the positions of the market participants are transparent to the system operator, at least to the system operator. And this provides a flexible way for the market participants to manage risk and to make better, more efficient operating and investment decisions. Okay, so many benefits because of the time. Yes?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah, it's me, Achim, from Cologne. And the question I have is just to understand better how this forward market works. If I have kind of a battery, yeah, so I can provide energy for, say, 7 days, but but afterwards it has to be recharged. So I can offer, so I'm not sure how I should enter your market, because it seems to be that you're basing it on time and place, but it's not on the situation. So I would offer my service only if it's a kind of a high price situation, for example. Yes. So, can I offer these kind of products in your market, in your forward market, or do I have to then offer, kind of be all time in the market? So how do I do it?
Yes. So absolutely. And you're going to love the price information, because the price information enables you to, basically, if those prices were certain, then, and as time goes forward, you would be solving this linear program. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated because you've got 7 days, and so you would, but actually, if those, the extent those prices were perfect, then it's not a problem. Then you would just solve a linear program to charge and discharge optimally, and you would put in orders that accomplish that. Now, down the road, the system operator as a service to storage could let them bid the characteristics of their units and optimize the unit on their behalf. And this would be a nice thing to do. And this is exactly what we do today in the US markets for fossil resources. So we have our 3-part bids where the resource owner bids their physical capabilities and their economics, and all those things are taken into account in optimizing the scheduling and dispatch of that fossil resource. And this would be the same thing. It would just be actually an easier problem for the system operator with respect to the batteries. So it's basically a linear program that has to be solved. And you just have to figure out, the best way for them to express their preferences, which would be their capacity, the efficiency of the battery, and these other factors, other characteristics that batteries have. If the system operator doesn't do that, then the market participant can do that themselves, or they can have a service provider, which would be the case for the owner of an electric vehicle. I would have a service provider, and my service provider would do that optimization for me. As my service provider is doing for me today for the power walls on the side of my garage in California. So Enphase Technologies is optimizing my batteries right now. So this is totally doable, but good question. Another fact, I'm just going to touch on most of these I've already talked about. So I'm just going to touch on a couple that I haven't in italics. First, in the United States, we use renewable energy certificates as our climate instrument. And it would be very useful, especially in more multi-jurisdictional markets like PJM, to trade these as well. And that can easily be done. And in that way, the market participant could manage not just their energy, but could manage their climate goals or their climate requirements that they have. So each of the states has different requirements, just like each country in Europe has different requirements. One big thing that's subtle and you may not appreciate unless you've been close to the stakeholder negotiations in electricity markets, but the capacity markets have been extremely expensive in terms of the stakeholder process. It's contentious, and it's because the capacity market has been largely about transferring wealth between load and generators, and that's obviously going to be fraught with debate. And the forward energy market removes that contentious element in that the market is grounded on fundamental economic principles, and the efficiency objective is ruthlessly exploited. The other thing in capacity markets is you've got this thing called capacity value, which is the ability of a resource to generate energy during shortages. And that plays a very important role in determining the quantity of capacity that a participant can sell into a capacity market. And people have huge debates about what that should be, because the US markets typically have missing money. And so the spot market's not generating enough revenue to cover investment, and which is why they're having these capacity markets. And that means that everybody wants to be able to sell as much quantity in the capacity market as they're allowed. And that makes this very contentious as well. So we get these huge fights, and those are avoided with the forward energy market, because the capacity values are still relevant for resource planning, but they're not directly used in the payments of market participants. They're used just as a second order element in establishing collateral requirements. More benefits, there's very few administrative parameters in this. The big one is the price cap. And that is something that's absolutely essential today. But hopefully when we get enough electric vehicles on the market, then there'll be enough flexibility that we'll never have shortages. And even the price cap is going to be irrelevant. But that day is not going to come for 10 or 20 years. So we need to... But in any event, this gives you a smooth transition to that beautiful world. It's readily extended to intraday, as I mentioned, by continuing the rolling settlement throughout the day. And the system operator, which is one more reason why the system operator should do this, can, with the visibility of forward positions, can optimize the collateral in order to avoid bankruptcy of market participants, which is a key market failure observed in practice. So here's a picture of piecewise linear supply and demand curves, or the net demand curve. And here's some theorems about the market in terms of uniqueness of prices and quantities. This is all from our paper on flow trading. Participation in the market, straightforward. With this trade to target strategy, I described the inputs that are needed for the market participant to produce. Most of these, certainly all the hard ones, are things that a market participant needs in today's market. So you can't tell me it's too difficult, because they're already doing things like, from a load serving entity, I'm estimating my load shape in the future. I should be pretty good at that. If I'm not, then I'm going to be in trouble. And I'm having to make estimates of prices, future prices, because I'm making decisions, and the decisions that I make are very much dependent on my expectations of future prices. So I should be doing that as well. And now in the trade to target strategy, essentially you're at a current position. You do your optimization to figure out the target position you'd like to ultimately be at, and then you use your order as your control instrument to dynamically move through space to get to your target. Now, of course, as time goes by, your target constantly changes, your position is changing. And so it's this dynamic process that you are pursuing basically throughout time. And one of the really valuable things about this is the amazing liquidity that it brings to the market. Participants have an incentive to bid on essentially all the products that are being offered pretty much all the time, and will actually be trading all the products all the time for any significant participant in any event. And that's because the participants interested in buying faster when the price is low and selling faster when the price is high. And that's arbitrage. And all market participants will be engaging that arbitrage. Anybody is allowed to be a market participant, so you don't need to be a supplier or a service provider. You can also be just a financial guy. Very quick example, because I see I'm running out of time. So here's an example with 2 products and 3 participants. Anne is an arbitrageur, a pure financial player. George is a generator, and Lucy is a load-serving entity, a service provider. Anne is doing, now they can make orders for any linear combination of products. Anne is actually bidding on the individual products. There's only 2 in this example, peak and off peak, and she bids on both. And a bid is just a bunch of price quantity pairs that define the piecewise linear net demand curve. George is, his portfolio is the same, peak and off peak, his portfolio of generating resources. So he's going to bid 50-50, peak and off peak. Lucy has more consumption on peak than off peak, so she's bidding 60-40. But they get to do whatever they want. They put in as many orders as they want. I just kept it small to make it easy. So here's a plot of their demand curves, net demand curves. And you can see Lucy as a natural buyer. Her demand curve is above George, who's a natural seller. And so in the outcome, George is going to be selling, Lucy's going to be buying, and Anne's going to be arbitraging between the 2. And there's the equilibrium. We've got two products. There's two clearing prices, two products, two unknowns, unique prices and quantities. Boom, done. It's not quite that simple, but it almost is. And so notice that the clearing is product by product. Clearly, if you can put an order for any linear combination, there's a continuum of orders. So it can't be, or continuum of products, not products, continuum of portfolios. So you can't be clearing by portfolio, you clear product by product. And there's finite number and everything works out very well. So when I extend this to say a real situation like Texas, here's Houston, all the forward prices that I described in the proposal. So there's a lot of them. There's 11,052 forward prices. The market participant, oh my God, that's a lot of numbers. How can you look at all those numbers? It's super easy. Here's the picture. You're looking at all the numbers. Can you make sense of this? Yes, you can. Electricity is expensive at 4 p.m. in July in Texas. Why? Because it's 112 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is. 49 degrees Celsius. So all the air conditioners are working 100%, and the price is $319 forward. So this information makes perfect sense to folks. They get to act on it. They're trading on it. So here, then we get closer to the day ahead. This is the 30-day hourly. Okay, each of the 30 days, there's 24 hours in the day. We've got 720 hourly products. And again, it's super easy to understand what's going on here. 4 and 5 p.m., the solar's disappearing, the air conditioners are cranked to the max, and electricity is very expensive. Now, here's the remarkable thing with this flow trading. So what we've done here is we've modeled a 4 gigawatt load serving entity. 4 gigawatts, that is big. This is a big guy. He's not huge, but he's big. When he pursues this flow trading, trade to target strategy, and I make reasonable assumptions about what's going on, this is the quantity that he's trading in each hour in megawatts. Notice how trivial these quantities are. So this is like dollars that they're trading, this 4 gigawatt guy. And the quantities go up, but not until you get very close to day ahead. Because then it becomes much more urgent for you to be exactly where you need to be. And this will happen throughout the day in the market, which is why we have enormous volatility in electricity markets. We can solve these problems very quickly. We've developed this flow trading for financial markets where we need to solve the realistic problems in a second, and we can do that. So with 10,000 products, we can solve in 1 second. So it might take a few seconds to solve the electricity problem. No problem. Here's the rolling settlement. So during the day, again, this is Houston. This is a day in August, super hot. And as you can see, the prices get extremely high. And there's lots of stuff happening throughout the day. And the economics here is quite meaningful. And so having this rolling settlement where people are making binding financial commitments as they trade through space is really, through time, is really helpful in managing risk and improving the decision-making throughout the day. So the next thing that we have to do, the next thing we have to do is build the prototype.
Peter, just 1 second.
Right.
Out of time.
Yes. Okay, so let me conclude. So basically I'm done. We've got more modeling to do. We've got more, which is described here. And that will basically get us to the point where hopefully some system operators will want to very seriously discuss possible implementation, which is where we are at right now. So I will stop there. Thank you for your patience. And I am perfectly happy to take further questions as long as people want to stay. But I understand that most of you will probably have to leave right away. There's a question. Clarice?
Yeah, hello. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm not sure I'm really set up with camera, but yeah, I have a question. Like, how can you place the proposition to what's already existing as a futures electricity market in Europe? So I see it's much more developed and much more characteristic. But what makes it much better? So why it would be much more liquidity than what we have already with futures electricity market?
Yes, so Europe has had tremendous problems with liquidity in their forward markets for basically forever. And the reason for that is because the markets they originated from monopoly utilities on a country basis, and there's been a slow rate of innovation, and the monopoly utilities have incentives to trade among themselves some of the time, but not to engage in transparent trade which creates better price information for other market participants. And so, I think that's been the big impediment. And I think that and we have that in the United States too. You have that everywhere where there's monopoly utilities or former monopoly utilities where their incentives for whatever reason are less strong to innovate. There's dominant incumbents in these markets often, and the dominant incumbents prefer lack of transparency. They prefer large bilateral trades with other big guys rather than encouraging competition by having trade with lots of people easily and with transparent prices. So that's basically the reason.
So a precondition for your proposition, I mean, in your future your future market work is to have then a competitive market, and also I guess well, you mentioned it earlier, but like a nodal pricing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if those things are not applied, will it still work as well? Like imagine in Europe,
Yes.
we never go back to nodal pricing. Can we implement this?
Yes, yeah, that's just fine. So for example, let's say Germany adopted this, but they still have one German price. So how would that work? Well, it would work just fine. You'd have the delivery point would be Germany. That's fine. But then we would have vibrant forward trade over time. So you'd basically get all the benefits in the time dimension, which would include much greater enhanced competition and innovation. And what you would lose is the benefits on the locational dimension.
Yeah, but that's I mean, it sounds to me that it's already a bit in a more evolved way, but what the futures are now.
Yes. So all these markets, the demand for futures and forward trading in all the markets is enormous. And as such, all the markets in the world have forward trade or futures. What this enables is it makes them much more efficient because of the coordinated trade, the fine granularity, all these things. We're basically improving upon something that's already seen and is essential in all markets. So you look at the best, most liquid markets in the United States, and the liquidity is limited in the electricity futures that are sold by or traded by ICE and CME. And the reason for that is it lacks a lot of the things that we have here, the fine granularity, all the transparency. It introduces the frictions. So the futures are traded almost everywhere, certainly by ICE and CME and IEX in Europe via continuous trade. And continuous trade as a big problem. There's this arms race for speed. There's a reward for those that are the fastest. And so for that reason, IEX has moved away from continuous trade. And now a lot of the volume in the futures markets is in the forward products is 15-minute or 30-minute auctions. So frequent batch auctions, effectively for the intraday trade that IEX manages. So that's an improvement, but it can be improved so much more.
Yeah, okay.
And I should say ICE and CME, they have no interest in having a more efficient market like flow trading because they make most of their money selling the tools that enable speed, co-location, and low latency data feeds. That's most of their revenues, not commissions from trade. They're profit maximizing organizations. Their mission is not to maximize social welfare, and so they don't. Yeah, please reach out if you have questions. And as I said, the materials are going to be updated frequently, so you can always come back when you have a moment. Say over the holidays, you want to read something fun, then you can click on the website and grab it.